Hello again. It's a pleasure to be with you once more. Before we begin today, of note, shouldst care to draw your attention to Errata in last episode, whereof I make mention of a shared marker in the Saint Boniface cemetery shared by Francois Xavier Bruneau and his wife Marguerite Harrison and real people, but it's not. It's shared with Jean-Baptiste Lagimodiere, a great French-Canadian trapper of the Red River settlement. You can read much of him online, and his wife, Marianne Gaboury, the first white woman in the Northwest Territories, and there were others, many others after her. Secondly, I told you that I wanted to check into Jack Riley, aka Jean-Baptiste Riel, Carrigan Salier, soldat of Berthier Company, whom had been a Jacobite, an Irish Jacobite soldier in France. Maybe having fought against the Stuart pretenders. So the flight of the Wild Geese refers to the departure of the Irish Jacobite army under the command of Patrick Sarsfield from Ireland to France, as agreed in the Treaty of Limerick, 1691, October 03, following the end of the Williamite War in Ireland. These military officers and soldiers formed clusters of Irish settlements in continental Europe. Of note, the Battle of Boyne, July 1690, spelt the end of Ireland as an independent nation, which was now subsumed under an avowedly Protestant Britain. I found this packet. I thought we'd look at it. Seems to be a score of papers in there that might be interesting. These folks seem to be Acadian and Huguenot. Germain Doucet, Commander-in-Chief of Port Royal, the son of Pierre Laverger, a Huguenot in Acadia, is here having married a Mikmaq Indian woman whom mothered Marguerite Doucet, whom married Abraham Dugas, son of I don't know if I want to trust this chart. It's I think what we'll do is we'll just throw this chart away. There's much on it that maketh sense, but what does not maketh any sense is detrimental to common sense, so that will huck out and continue on. And this easy. Of course, you see the spill. Remember I mentioned the spill in one of the previous episodes? Where this little chart here is probably one of the founding, one of the charts of most importance to us as free peoples, Canadian peoples. It says here that the father of New France, Samuel de Champlain, the son of Anthony Champlain and Marguerite Leroy, married Helene Boule, the daughter of Nicolas Boule, a Calvinist, i.e. a Huguenot, but saith not much more on that. It does also mention these three young Montagnaise girls whom Champlain adopted. I'm not going to make a guess at their names in French at the moment. Their names were Faith, Hope, and Charity. And we will encounter that story again. So. Here be mention of the Calvinist or French Protestant Pierre Dugois Sieur de Maure, son of Guy Dugois and Claire Gourmand, and husband of Judith Chesnel, but they had no children. Please look that gentleman up, Pierre Dugois Sieur de Maure. Just because our ancestors had no children does not mean they did not contribute to siring a nation of Canadian peoples. What, some 14 generations later, that be me and you? So this be a chart for Charles Legardeur De Tilly, 1611 to 1695, and his wife Genevieve Juchereau De Maure, 1632, born 1632. The Juchereau family was a very important family. So I'm glad to introduce you to these folks here now. Three of the Legardeur children are mentioned. Marguerite Legardeur De Tilly first married Pierre de Saint-Ours, 1640 to 1727. She next married Louis Joseph Legouze, 1660 to 1708, and they had 4 children. A third marriage with Charles Le Moyne, 1656 to 1729, produced no more children, apparently, according to this chart. The second of the Legardeur children is Legardeur De Bouvet, Legardeur De Bouvet, whom first married Marie Barbe de Saint-Ours, the daughter of Pierre de Saint-Ours and Marie Maulois. We know not whether Pierre Saint-Ours, the first husband of Marguerite Legardeur De Tilly, be the same Pierre de Saint-Ours, whom here be the father of Marie Barbe de Saint-Ours, the first wife of René Legardeur De Bouvet, younger brother of Marguerite Legardeur De Tilly. The second wife of René Legardeur De Tilly, the second wife of René Legardeur de Beaufort was Louise Lamay, and Legardeur de Bouvet was married once more to Marie Madeleine Marchand, and she went on to marry Jean Maillotte, and they had a child named Marie Maillotte, born 1697, died 1708. The third Legardeur child mentioned here be Charlotte Francois Legardeur De Tilly, 1670 to 1706, who first married René de René d'Amour, whom was the father, the fifth child of six. Louis Mathieu d'Amours de Signancourt is mentioned, being the husband of Marie Madeleine d'Anguillon, 1706-1760, the daughter of Marie Madeleine Petit and Joseph Guillon. Jean-Mathieu de Maure, born 1730, was the son of Louis Mathieu de Maure de Signancourt, the son of René de Maure and Francois Legardeur de Tilly. So that was a nice little chart to look at, and we got to talk a little bit about Legardeur family, who play a very prominent role in the pre-settlement and early development of our family here in what became Nouveau France. Perhaps one of the most important Acadian families, according to our tradition. It involved Jean-Vincent d'Abadie, as well as the Mius de Tremoille family. We see both those families well mixed here. We find Jean-Vincent d'Abadie, the husband of Marie Piddick, one Miscoui d'Abadie de Saint-Castin, the daughter of Penobscot Sachem Madockwando, the son of Maslecq, and together Jean-Vincent d'Abadie and Marie Pitiquanamiskawee, the Abadi de Saint-Castin, have 2 children on this page listed, the first being Ursuline de Abadi, the wife of Louis de Maure, and it's starred, so we'll find another chart later. And the younger sister being Theresa de Saint-Castin, the wife of Philip Mius Pobomcou d'Entremont, the son of Jacques Mius de Entremont de Pobencoup, and Anne de Saint-Etienne de la Tour, 1644 to 1742, the sister of Marguerite de Saint-Etienne de la Tour, the wife of Abraham Mius de Entremont, the brother of Jacques Mius de Entremont de Pobencoup. And both those brothers are the sons of Philip Mius and Madeleine Healy, a noble Juchereau family involved in the St. Bartholomew Day massacre. We find also the mention of the 2 sisters, Marguerite de Saint-Etienne de la Tour and Anne de Saint-Etienne de la Tour, being the daughters of Jean Moulton and Charles Amador de Saint-Etienne la Tour. Now, I'm not going to be trusting my mind to be pulling stories about great people out of the air. I like to always double check and triple check. But I assure you, reading about Jean Moulton will be a worthwhile ambition to pursue. We find here the French woman, Jean Moulton, the daughter of Louis Moulton de Courcelles, of noble French heritage, to be the 3rd wife of Charles de Saint-Etienne de la Tour, the son of Claude de Saint-Etienne la Tour. Him having first been married to a native woman of whom he sired a métis daughter. Now, the Turtle Mountain, Pembina, Red River, Saskatchewan, Alberta, Northwest Territories, Montagnaise folk don't quite recognize les autres métis des woodlands and Great Lakes with the dignity that those others deserve as our forefathers. And as I've said before, we're talking about white Hurons, or should I say French, or Nouveau French, Quebecois, folk whom lived amongst the Huron as Hurons, woodlands folks of all kinds of different tribes and nations, interbred with all the Anglo and American and French whom explored into the vast unknown territories, always ever changing that land and those peoples. Not like today. Today is something, that's why I'm reading these stories to you. I want to I don't want to just throw these papers away. I'll read and be able to listen to these stories when I'm on the road, I reckon. Philip Mius de Entremont, first Baron of Poboncoop of Normandy, the husband of Madeleine Ely, sired a daughter Marguerite in Normandy. Their son Philip Mius de Entremont d'Azit married a Mikmaq woman named Marie Coyote Blanc, and they are the parents of the Mius and Mius families of Acadia, Quebec, Louisiana, all the way down into Acadian country, I reckon. Jacques and Abraham are hereby again mentioned, as are the sisters Anne and Marguerite. So, they're just talking together. Another prominent Acadian family, the De Maure family. We find them on this chart mixed well with the first French family of Etienne Racine and Marguerite Martin, whom were the parents of Louise Racine, the wife of Simon Guion. Louise Guion, the daughter of Louise Racine and Simon Guion, was the wife of Matthew de Fresnel de Maure, the son of Matthew de Maure, Sieur de Chafours, and Marie Marsolet. Louis de Maure, the son of Matthew de Fresnel de Maure and Louise Guion, married Ursuline de Abadie, 1696 to 1768. Her the sister of Theresa de Saint-Castin, whom was the wife of Philip Mius, Poboncoop de Entremont, the son of Jacques Mius de Entremont de Poboncoop and Anne de Saint-Etienne de la Tour. The de Abadie sisters, Ursuline and Theresa, were the daughters of Marie Pidicwanamiscawi de Abadie de Saint-Castin, the daughter of Madockwando, a Penobscot Sachem, the son of Asaminisqua. And their father was Jean-Vincent de Abadie, the son of Isabeau de Bern and Jacques-Jean de Abadie. Jacques de Abadie was a great warrior. And if I were a Dantean poet on some kind of quest through the nether realm, we would no doubt find Jacques de Abadie prominent among the warriors of our breed. Speaking of which, we mention here the Capetian kings of France and the House of Tremoille. So, let's take a look at this. I know not where to begin. We will begin with Governor of Acadia, Charles Amador de Saint-Etienne, Sieur de la Tour, whom first married Marguerite Membertou, the daughter of Milois Marie and Henri Sachem Membertou, chief of the Mikmaq. You'll find his visage on stamps in Canada. One of the first and the greatest of the chiefs whom we encountered, whence first welcomed here in our New World settlements. The second wife of Governor of Acadia Charles Amador de Saint-Etienne de la Tour was Marie Mikmaq, a princess, the mother of Jean Latour, whom married Martin Mardigon de Prendestigue. Them, the parents of Marie-Anne de Martignon, the wife of Guillaume Bourgeois, the brother of Francois Bourgeois, the wife of Claude Dugas. Francois Bourgeois and Guillaume Bourgeois being the children of Jacob Bourgeois and Jean Trahan, Acadians. A third wife, or a second wife, discounting Marguerite Membertou as a wife of Governor of Acadia Charles Amador de Saint-Etienne, Sieur de la Tour, Saint-Etienne, Sieur de la Tour, was the Huguenot heroine of Acadia, Francois Marie Jacqueline. Her mothering of he, Charles Francois de Saint-Etienne de la Tour. So, again, please, don't count on me to fully explore these wonderful stories. You must research them yourself, and this is a girl whom is well worth exploring. Francois M. Jacqueline, heroine of Acadia. Given here as the third wife of Governor of Acadia Charles Amador de Saint-Etienne, Sieur de la Tour, was Jean Marie de Rue Courcelle Martin, or Moten. Jean-Marie de Rue Courcelle Moten, the daughter of Marie de Salien and Dr. Louis Moten. Many children are listed for this mother. All these children to now here be mentioned. The children of Governor of Acadia Charles Amador de Saint-Etienne, Sieur de la Tour, born of Jean M. de Rue Courcelle Motin. We see here Jean Latour could be her daughter just as easily as she could be the daughter of Marie Mikmaq Princess. Here mentioned is Anne de Saint-Etienne de la Tour, the wife of Jacques Mius de Entremont de Pobencoup, the father of Charles Mius de Entremont, husband of Marguerite Landry, probably an ancestor of mine. The third child would be Jacques de Saint-Etienne de la Tour, the husband of Anne-Marie Malençon, or Malencon. The daughter of Marie Dugas and Charles Malencon de Laramie. Your last child is called Marie de Saint-Etienne de la Tour, her marrying the governor of Acadia, Alexandre Le Bourgogne, the son of governor of Acadia, Emmanuel Le Bourgogne, Sieur de Aulne. The second husband of Jean-Marie de Rue Courcelle Moulton would be governor of Acadia, Charles de Menu de Aulny de Charnize. And, you know, at that time there was still acts of piracy happening all throughout Maine and Acadia and the Gaspé. Whole townships would load onto ships and go and pound the shit other whole townships. Steal all the cattle and all the supplies, maybe even steal the people. Them they could catch that hadn't fled into the woods. Membertou helped them. At that time, the early Acadians, when Boston pirates came to terrorize them. Now, the parents of Governor of Acadia Charles Amador de Saint-Etienne Sieur de la Tour are Nicolas de Claude Turgis de Saint-Etienne de la Tour and Marie de Salazar. Marie de Salazar was the daughter of Antoinette de Courcelle and Hector Salazar, a lady-in-waiting to Queen Henrietta Maria. Hector Salazar and his brother Etienne Tristan Salazar, whom was an illegitimate child, were the sons of Marguerite de la Tremoille of the House of Tremoille. Marie-Marguerite de la Tremoille being the illegitimate daughter of Marie Guadapede and George de la Tremoille, an opponent of Saint Jean d'Arc. So me no like him, eh? It shows here the husband of Marie-Marguerite de la Tremoille, the legitimate daughter of Marie Guadapede and George de la Tremoille, the opponent of Saint Jean d'Arc, was Jean de Salazar, a leader of the Dorchers de Corchers, a leader, Jean de Salazar, Spanish leader of the de Corchers, Seigneur de Saint-Just, him called the Great Captain, and born of the Capetian kings of France. Their ancestor on this chart being Jean de Salazar, the wife of Florimond Biencourt de Poutrincourt, the son of Jacques de Biencourt and Jean-Adrien de Blécourt. So, the royalty or lesser royalty, which were not empowered throughout Europe, found a home away from the continent, and we true-born, pure-hearted Canadian folk are descended of them, and are not just plain old ordinary everyday peoples, because our ancestors weren't. And by rights of inheritance, there is a responsibility on our part to them. And that's why I'm reading you these charts. I mean, I will be homeless soon. I will not have a computer. I will probably never have a computer again. I don't mind. The idea of walking across Canada sounds like fun. The important thing at this tiny little chart here that says nothing and means nothing is that it mentions, for the first time in this discussion period with us, the European fishermen whom sired of the coastal Amerindians, the beginnings of Canadian Mius heritage. How so? After the Breton, Portuguese, and Spanish, and French, and other mariners traversed the Atlantic, sometimes taking 30 to 40 days to do so, coming in search principally of cod, wherewith the cod were so thick the ships were stalled in the waters for even in wind, and of course after the whale oil, or perhaps seal pelts. There were no fur trade as of yet, but these sailors would go ashore and thereby have relations with Indian women, albeit oftentimes, it was a one-way affair. Here I will mention again something else you won't find much written about anywhere, nor spoken of by anyone else, and that is of those Indian folk, both young men and young women especially, that were stolen away from the New World and taken it back to the continent as curiosities to be paraded about for the entertainment of minor royals in early Europe. Of course, when thinking about this, one must remember that these minor royals were accustomed to gathering about the marriage bed and shouting encouragement and applauding newlyweds as they sealed the deal, so to speak. So it's not uncommon that there were no doubt also early in the 17th and maybe late in the 16th centuries, Métis folk born in Europe that were raised European. Here are mentioned the daughters of the Grand Chief of the Mikmaq, Henri Sachem Membertou, and his wife Marie, as Marguerite Membertou, who married Governor of Acadia Charles Amador de Saint-Etienne de la Tour. Her elder brother was Louis, aka Judas Membertouchis. Their younger siblings were Acadian and Paul Acadian A. Acadian G. So, that's a simple chart and much said of it. Remember, you won't find what I've just told you in history books. A lot of the things I talk about are not accredited by the same researchers who, like mother birds into the mouths of their young regurgitate what was regurgitated into their minds. No real in-depth originality in their thought patterns. We find here an interesting little chart. It seems to be apparently quite a diversion away from what we usually talk about. Here we be talking about the family of Vice Admiral Honorable Robert Fitzroy of the HMCS Beagle, which lay in harbor, apparently in Fisherman's Wharf down there in James Bay, Victoria, where I am living in Victoria, BC. The Beagle was a paddles wheel ship that traveled the coast. Vice Admiral Honorable Robert Fitzroy of the HMCS. I'm wrong. I'm so wrong. I'm so very wrong here. The Beagle. The Beagle is the ship that Darwin sailed on. I read, when I was a young man, a book called The Voyage of the Beagle. My favorite part was the recipe for shrinking heads. It was a book loaded with pictures, and I tell you, the headhunter was a really scary guy. He's probably here now because of King Charles II it says here 4th generation, so I don't know what that be. We'll start again here with Vice Admiral Honorable Robert Fitzroy of the HMCS Beagle. The Voyage of the Beagle with Charles Darwin aboard is a great adventure story for any young mind. He learned ever so much, which he applied to his theory exposed in The Origin of Species, which is a very wonderful, a magnificent work that dedicates the last paragraph of the last page, like just a couple sentences, to man. But you will find a lot out about pigeons if you read that book. Because this is so history, we'll just skip it, eh? It's getting late. We still got a few pages to go. I'm happy we're doing good. I wanted to get that bundle done with, and we're almost done. This is more in line with what you like to listen to. Margaret Adik Songhab, daughter of a Chippewa woman and Delaunay, a Sioux warrior, was first married to Charles Joseph Bottineau. Him next married Tecome Egood, and her daughter was Marguerite Bottineau, my ancestor, the wife of Alexander McGillis. Tecome Egood also mothered Joseph Bottineau, the first husband of Angelique Cardinal, whom later married Charles Bottineau, the younger brother of Joseph Bottineau. And their sister, Francois Bottineau, was the wife of Francois Desjardins, Louis Desjardins. the son Josephette Cardinal and Joseph de Charlet. Josephette Cardinal was the sister of Jacques Cardinal, whom had first married the Assiniboine woman named Josephette, but second married Josephette Dickak. Josephette Dickak. The mother, Angelique Cardinal, whom had married the Joseph Bottineau and Charles Bottineau, the brothers. Jacques Cardinal and Josephette Cardinal were both children of Joseph Soldat Cardinal and Louis Frobisher, whom the Cardinal family and the Frobisher family we should pay a great deal of homage to them for their contribution to us, to our family, us Canadian family people. They were great voyageur families and great explorers. Again, we find the name Charles Joseph Bottineau here mentioned, listed as the first husband of Marguerite Dixon-Aub, her second husband being Cuthbert James Grant, and a third husband being Peter Grant. Those two Grant unrelated. Now, the children of Peter Grant and Margaret Dixon-Aub were firstly Josephette Grant, whom was the wife first of Pierre Montour and then of John Wills. And the younger sister, Maria Grant, was the wife of Pierre Falcon, the son of Pierre Falcon and a Cree woman. This be a buffalo hunting brick, this family unit, this is a nice little family unit. The more familiar you become with these names, the more familiar you become with the history of our nation. The more familiar you become with the history of our nation, the more familiar you become with yourself as a Canadian. The more familiar you become with yourself as a Canadian, the more familiar you become of those duties and responsibilities associated with your birthright and your heritage. And when we are done reading these documents, perhaps we might have time to talk more of that, or else we may be talking about that whilst I walk across Canada, shouldst I have to walk across Canada. I am lame and I do walk with a cane, and we will see. I am not looking forward to that. And again, I am looking forward to that. Imagine going to all those beautiful places wherein our folk lie buried. Our blood is so steeped in the dirt of this country. Cuthbert Grant is here listed as first married to Margaret Dixon-Aub and then married to an Oasis, and we've talked of her. Here it is listed that Marguerite Grant be the daughter of an Oasis and not Margaret Dixon-Aub. This Marguerite Grant was married 3 times, so that would be a serial marriage. The first with Michel Monet de Belhumer of Quebec, the second with André Poitras, and the third with Francois Perrault de Moran of Quebec. Not much else to mention of that, except it does again familiarize us with the subject of serial marriages. And of course we did mention the phenomenon those blockchain marriage groups. Here we see mentioned Cuthbert James Grant and Oasis were the parents of Cuthbert Grant, whom first married Elizabeth Mackay, whom disappeared with their son James Mackay, whilst Cuthbert Grant was answering to charges related to mischief involving pemmican. Marie Desmarais' name is not mentioned here, but Marie McGillis, my ancestress, is, and she is the daughter of Marguerite Nottingham de Venteboot and Angus McGillis, the Scots from Tyrol. Marguerite Grant is listed as a sister of Cuthbert Grant. Her husband is Michel Monet de Belhumer. Other names are crossed out, but we just discussed those. Maria Grant is mentioned, the sister, Maria Grant, the wife of Pierre Falcon. But also mentioned here is a fourth sister, Josephette Grant, the wife of Josephat Wells, her second husband. So maybe we wasted our time talking about this, but as I said, it is familiarity that matters, and we're done early today because this is my last chart. And again, it focuses on Marguerite Grant. And it's not something we're going to get into. I'm just throwing that away without even looking at it anymore. Okay. I'll just tear this one off the wall because of that. We'll just get rid of this one too. One less thing to look at, I suppose. This final chart that we're looking at today involves Etienne Tourelle de Jolicoeur of the Regiment de Languedoc, whom was the father of Marguerite Tourelle, her marrying Nicholas Landry of Acadia, them the parents of Joseph Landry, who married Genevieve Lalonde, and Joseph Landry and Genevieve Lalonde were the parents of Anastasia Landry, the wife of André Nault, the daughter of Josette Lagimodiere and Amable Nault, and the sister of Anastasia Landry was Adelaide Landry, my ancestress, the wife of Thomas Stanislaus Bruneau. André Nault, the husband of Anastasia Landry, the daughter of Genevieve Lalonde, had married Josette Lagimodiere, the daughter of Marianne Gaboury, and her husband Jean-Baptiste Lecomte de Lagimodiere. And we begin today's program talking about those two people. It'd be good fortune we find this then, eh? Jean-Baptiste Lagimodiere married the son of Jean-Baptiste Lecomte de Lagimodiere, and Marianne Gaboury married Marie Harrison, the sister of Marguerite Harrison, the wife of Honorable Francois Jacques Bruneau, the son of Voyageur Antoine Bruneau and a Crématis woman. And they were the parents, methinks, of Thomas Stanislaus Bruneau, the husband of Adelaide Landry, the sister of Anastasia Landry, both the daughters of Genevieve Lalonde. And again we mention here a note of Lee Patriot, Lee Josephette Papineau, and Julie Bruneau. Also mentioned here is Athanase Bruneau, whom was a guide to Lord Milton and Dr. Walton Cheadle in 1862. And further mentioned is Honorable Francois Jacques Bruneau, him a magistrate, and on the Council of Assiniboia. He and his wife died of cholera epidemic. And I'd like to note that this page is a linen page, so this is a nice piece of paper. With that, I bid you all a pleasant night. God bless one and all.